All right. What's the standout for you this weekend? It can be each other. It can be the musical priesthood who has ministered to us. You've heard each other teach a lot. I don't know that you've heard those three musicians together. It was remarkable to me to learn last night that Eugene knew those men when they were 8 and 10, running around in the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. Let that one stick. But this weekend, later when if you remember where you were this weekend, anything gonna stick? Anything standing out? Anything stirring? Later I'm gonna ask you if you have a question for each other.
Yeah, I definitely have a response to that. I do a lot of gatherings, a lot of workshops and retreats and conferences, but the way in which the spiritual life, the life of the soul, intersects with the creative life is so deeply aligned with my own life. I've always been an artist. I've always done visual arts and writing and poetry and theater, and it's been inseparable from the life of the soul for me. And so it's rare for me to actually encounter a space that names that interconnectedness of the life of the soul with the creative life. I have a whole chapter in Wild Mercy dedicated to that. It's that important to me. And so it's been deeply gratifying to me to be in a space that names that and emphasizes it and lifts it up. And yes, the music has been utterly sublime. When I've spoken about the death of my daughter a few times this weekend, and one direct connection with these guys is that after Jenny died, someone gave me this collection of Celtic lamentations, and it said that for grieving people, words don't do it, but this music is made in ancient times to help you express, even if you're just listening, the language of heartbreak in this transformational, sublime way. And that was Owen and Molly's mother, Maureen. And so to meet them and hear them in this way has been a beautiful full circle for me. Not to mention, loving Paul Winter all those years and recognizing the sound of that cello, and going to St. John of the Divine with Ram Dass when I was 15 years old, St. John of the Divine Cathedral, and hearing Ram Dass speak, and Hilda Charlton, and the way that Hilda would sing to the angels in that cathedral, and these white feathers, I don't know what that was, the white feathers, remember, Gangadas, would float down from the ceiling. And so for me, there's all these beautiful circles are coming together in Winter Park, Florida, this weekend. So I'm very moved by that.
So I have to challenge the premise of your question. You said one thing. There's no way I can come up with one thing. There was so much, but so there's way more than I'm going to be able to articulate without having everyone fall asleep. So, but very quickly, so...
That's why I said one thing.
I know. But...
Sorry.
But still, watching... And you got to hear this right, so don't get it wrong. Watching Mirabai naked on the stage is really powerful. Undefended. You could clap. It's all right. You got one clap. But watching you on the stage that way is very powerful. I mean, you sit there, you're undefended. You and I have very different styles.
I'm funny, too.
I'm not saying... I'm not saying you're not funny. I'm saying I'm an entertainer, right? That's what I do. If you get anything more than that from me, it was an accident. But you're doing something very powerful. So that was one thing. Another thing, of course, was the music. The music was fantastic. But I've met some of you, and in the context of the meeting, it was an I-thou kind of encounter. I mean, it's dark out there. I can't tell you who you are anymore. But there were some people who I met where it was just, there was a true meeting there. But the one thing I'll remember forever is the dead squirrel. because it was so poignant.
I saw it too.
Oh, you did too? You did? Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
We should have a spotlight.
Really? I thought she was resurrected. But I'll go with burial. She is. On the third day, let's go dig her up and see what's there.
You are a bad man.
I love Barbara.
He says to you he's never met you before in his life. I did a conference with, he leans over and says, do you come here often?
They asked, we're at it. It was January Adventures a couple of Januaries ago. And they said, Rami, do you have one question for Barbara? And I said, yeah. You come here often? My backup question was, what's your sign? You know? But
he's got a million of them. Okay, I asked you the standout question so that I could answer it myself, all right? So, and I made myself do one. And Rami, with you, it was the first time in my life I thought of Jesus as the masculine embodiment of Sophia. And I'll just let that stop. That's me. But in other words, son of the Amma, as well as son of the Abba. It was just a remarkable moment. And Mirabai, it was when someone asked you who the Christ was, and I thought, oh, how is she going to answer that? And if I heard you at all correctly, it was that you came to love him through those who loved him, that you would have to have been a stone not to have loved whom Teresa and John and Julian loved. And that was such an answer to me, all about the embodiment of the sacred and the way in which love's contagious. So those were the standouts. And the third, because I do feel like there should be 3 musicians sitting with us as well, and Randy standing over us with his seraphim wings, you know. But at lunch, when we ate together at the Ravenous Pig, of all places, when you think of present company, but there was a wonderful moment when Owen was talking about, you know how they hold the silence? You know how when the song is finished, how patient and loving those musician priests are with the silence? And Owen and Eugene, Molly was not there, but he would have agreed, said that it's like pulling, if you've ever done archery, pulling the bow to its absolute taut point, because everyone wants to fill the silence. They want the arrow to take off, and to hold the tension of the silence until exactly the right moment. Ting. When the silence, he said, is fully gathered. So I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So those were the standouts for me, and I could go on and on and on. And you'll get your chance to go on soon.